We'll go ahead and call the November 18, 2021 Board of Zoning Appeals meeting to order. Good evening and welcome to the City of Dublin Board of Zoning Appeals. You can join the meeting in person at 5555 Perimeter Drive and also access the meeting via the live stream on the city's website. We welcome public participation, including public comments on cases. In order to submit any questions or comments during the meeting, please use the form under the streaming video on the city's website. Your questions and comments will be relayed to the board by the meeting moderator. Please provide a valid name and address when submitting your comments. The meeting procedure for each case this evening will begin with staff presentation, followed by an opportunity for the applicant to make a presentation. The board will then have the opportunity to ask clarifying questions, first of staff, then of the applicant, and prior to hearing public comments. Finally, the board will deliberate on each case. Lori, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Deschler?
Here.
Mr. Nye?
Here.
Mr. Clower?
Here.
Okay, before we get into the meeting minutes, I believe the date was October 21, 2021. I do just want to make a correction for the record. On page 8 of 14, after the public comment section where it begins the board discussion, Ms. Herbert's comment should be, Ms. Herbert agreed and stated it was irrelevant and not relevant. So if that can be rectified and fixed, I believe, be good to go? Okay. So assuming that is taken care of, is there a motion to approve the documents in the meeting minutes?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Roll, please.
Mr. Nye?
Yes.
Mr. Deschler?
Yes.
Mr. Clower?
Yes.
We'll move on to the swearing of witnesses and staff. Anyone intending to address the board on cases this evening, please stand and raise your right hand and answer in the affirmative. Okay. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in your testimony to this board? Yes. Great, thank you. For the public, you may be aware that initially this meeting was to have 3 cases. We are down to 1. The True Residence at 7605 Bel Air Avenue, that's case number 21-143V, has been postponed. And the Hopkins Residence at 9376 Nicholson Way, case number 21-172V, has also been postponed. Therefore, we will move with our lone case this evening, the Haran Residence at 8364 Somerset Way, case number 21-137V. The applicant is present, I see. So, Zach, if you want to move forward, we appreciate it with your presentation.
Great, thank you very much. Well, good evening. Before you tonight is an application for a non-use area variance for the Haran residence. The site is located in yellow on your screen. It is located within the Amberley North Plan Unit Development District, which is located southeast of the intersection of Memorial Drive and Dublin Road. And just to give a closer view of the site and to give you some context of the homes surrounding it, that is what this image is for. So to provide some existing conditions of the rear of this home, I'll just touch briefly on what is existing here. This is a single family lot constructed in 2003. The site is approximately 0.31 acres in size. The site currently includes an existing patio and an existing deck These do have approved permits through the city of Dublin as of 2004. I will say at the time, building standards did approve this deck, stating that open and uncovered decks are permitted to encroach 5 feet. However, that is not the policy today, as we only consider at-grade patios for this policy. So anything moving forward would have to meet that requirement. You'll see the rear of this home, there are 2 exits from the first level. So the first level, the second level, and then the lower level, which is a basement walkout. There are 2 exits from the first level with 2 exits from the lower level. Currently, only one of these first level exits is covered by the deck. The other does have a railing to stop anyone from walking out that door. And then the 2 doors on the lower level do exit out onto the existing patio. So this is just to give you some context of what is located existing to the rear of the home, as well as to the rear of the lot and some of the adjacent properties there, as it is fairly open as you go towards the rear of the home. So before you tonight is a proposed variance for a rear yard setback variance. The applicant is requesting a variance to the Amberley North development text, which requires a 25-foot rear yard setback. The applicant is proposing to encroach 5.5 feet into this required setback. As I said, open and uncovered patios are permitted to encroach up to 5 feet into the rear yard setback. However, decks are not included in this policy. The applicant will also be able to construct a patio, which they will be doing regardless of the approval of this variance. That patio is permitted to encroach 5 feet. You'll see the line does show the 25-foot setback in reference to the proposed deck and patio. So the applicant has provided a statement which has been included in your packets tonight explaining the reasoning for this variance. Staff did have an opportunity to review this site and review the criteria for a variance request. Staff certainly does acknowledge that a deck is necessary for the safety of exiting the home from the first story doors, as currently that is not the case. However, staff has determined that the lot is rectangular in size and shape, which does not create a special condition from other lots in the neighborhood. A majority of the homes adjacent to this lot have small backyards with small patio decks and areas, and the property has additional opportunity for outdoor amenity space on the lower level of the future with a future at-grade patio, which is a special condition allowing for 2 layers of outdoor space. So based on staff's review and staff's analysis, staff has found that 1 of the 3 criteria for the first set is met, being the impair the intent and purpose of the requirement. And then 2 of the 4 of the second set are met. With this, staff is recommending disapproval of the non-use area variance to the rear yard setback. I'm happy to answer any questions you all may have for staff. Otherwise, the homeowner is here to address your questions and concerns. Thank you.
Any questions for staff?
Not yet. Not yet.
Okay. Yes.
If you could state your name and address.
Sure. My name is Sabrina Haran. I live at 8364 Somerset Way in Dublin, Ohio. We closed on this property at the end of May and moved in June. The property has a walkout basement, meaning that, as you saw, that the first floor is up higher than and is off the ground. And really what we need to do here, because the owners built what we refer to as a half deck, is build 1 long deck that will cover both sets of doors. There's a set of doors going off the kitchen that they built a deck from, and a set of doors off of the living room that they built nothing for. We have twin 7-year-old boys, and the doors off of the living room actually do open. So we need something that will safely allow them to get out if they were to get out. Right now, it's working that we've said please don't access the doors, but it's a fix we would like to make in the long term. The current deck is approximately 12 feet, I don't know if you want to call it wide or deep, which is 2 feet longer, I guess, than what is currently permitted under the setback rules. We were not aware of that when we purchased the home. It was not disclosed to us. There is a patio below the deck that leads off of the walkout basement. That patio is approximately 14 and a half feet wide, which is apparently within the setback rules of the city of Dublin. We believe that the current half deck presents a safety issue that we would very much like to remedy. To remedy that issue, we would like to build a deck that can be accessed by both doors with a patio underneath as set forth in the design that we submitted. I just want to note that the patio that we're proposing to build would not encroach upon the 25-foot backyard setback rule. It would be the same depth or width as our current patio. The only subject of our variance request is the deck that would go over top of that patio. And what we're seeking to do is to build a deck that ends exactly where the patio ends. So in essence, we would like to build a deck that is the same width as the patio that would be underneath it, which by our calculations is 4.5 feet beyond, encroaches 4.5 feet into the setback. So I noted in the committee's report that it states that we're seeking to build a deck that encroaches 5 feet 6 inches into the setback. I don't know where the disconnect in the numbers is happening necessarily. My understanding from our contractor is that it would in fact only be 4.5 feet. And I don't know how the 5 feet 6 inches would necessarily work if that were accurate, because that would mean the deck would go beyond the patio, and that's not what we're trying to do. We're just trying to build a deck that goes, like you can see in the design, the staircases end on the deck exactly where the patio would end. And so that's what we're seeking to do. So while the committee has not recommended that the variance request would be approved, there are a few things that I wanted to note that we disagree with on the committee's analysis regarding several criteria. The first is that we believe that there are special conditions that do exist that would warrant the variance, and that the variance is not necessitated due to our action or inaction for a couple of reasons. One is that our backyard in our house is unique to the Amberley area due to the walkout nature. There was a statement in the report that says that our house and property is similar to adjacent neighbors, which all have small outdoor spaces that meet zoning requirements. But the vast majorities of the houses in Amberley don't have walkout basements. And so there's no need for them to build a deck, which again is the only subject of our variance, not the patio. And so they have no need to build a deck. And so I guess in our mind, comparing a non-walkout house to a walkout house is sort of like comparing apples to oranges. There are a few houses in the Amberley neighborhood that have walkouts. And so we started house hunting in February of 2020. We looked at several houses in the Amberley area and learned very quickly that the builder built the same house essentially over and over again. So we saw several houses with the walkout design. One house that we saw has a patio and deck that actually borders its property line. And I have pictures here and I have the address. It's 8309 Somerset Way. Do you want the pictures? No? Okay.
Were these something that were submitted to the city previously, or is this something that you did in preparation for tonight?
Something I did in preparation for tonight.
It's fine.
We only got the report yesterday, or day before yesterday. Here are
Would we be permitted to add those to the record afterwards, even though it's not part of this? Is that possible? Thanks.
Now, I don't know if the folks that live at that address sought a variance or not. I went on to the city's records and tried to look and couldn't find anything, but either way, even if a variance was approved by the city for that patio and deck that do encroach into the setback, or if no variance was ever requested, the mere existence of that structure indicates that our property is not unique, or I'm sorry, is unique, and that compliance with the setback requirements without a variance is possible is inaccurate. The committee also indicated in its report that the staff has determined that 10 feet is adequate space for a deck. We believe that that statement discounts the fact that 5 feet of the 10 feet of the deck would be taken up by stairs. So what that would mean is that we would essentially be building a 5-foot balcony that goes right out to stairs. And that's, again, exactly what we are trying to avoid here. We're trying to create a structure that is safe for our children, safe for the neighborhood children that will come over. The setback restrictions, if enforced, would prevent us from building a structure that we believe is safe for our family. And the last thing that I wanted to note is that while the committee does note this in their report, our current deck apparently encroaches into the setback rules that are currently in place by 2 feet. Again, that was not disclosed to us when we purchased the house. So what we're seeking to do through the variance is to build not only a patio that is exactly the same size that currently exists and wouldn't encroach into the setback, but that also has a deck that's a mere 2.5 feet beyond what currently exists. So in sum, our current apparently non-compliant and unsafe half deck has existed in Dublin in its current state for 17 years. As new homeowners with young children, we are seeking the variance to create a safe structure using the least amount of space possible, just 2.5 more feet than our current deck, so that our deck will be the same width as the patio underneath, which again is within the setback. Our walkout property has unique qualities that make it distinctly different than our neighbors' properties who don't have a walkout property and who don't have a need for a deck as a result, and also therefore don't face the same safety concerns. Again, at least one neighbor has apparently already recognized this issue and has constructed a deck and patio that nearly borders their property line. And finally, as I indicated in our October 29th, October 29th submission, the city has improved encroachments into rear yard setbacks for purposes of building a deck for similar or longer spaces under very similar circumstances, and I cited to some specific examples in our variance application. So for those reasons, we ask that the variance be granted.
I have some
You have any
questions
questions?
for Zach
Yeah.
for right now, but none
Yeah.
for the applicant right now.
If you want to hang tight there, we may kind of ping back and forth, if that's okay.
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 Sure. Let me see here.
Zach, are you able to pull up the screen that has the 25 and the 5 on it for me? I don't know how else to describe it. So just help me make sure I'm understanding this, because now that I've heard her speak, I want to make sure I'm understanding. There is permitted to be a 5-foot encroachment into the 25-foot setback, right?
For
The
an
patio.
at-grade patio is correct, yes.
But there is not for the deck.
Correct.
Okay.
There used to be.
Original interpretation from building standards, the permit that was pulled for this deck did state open and uncovered decks. However, that's not something we do as current practice.
Let me ask you real quick on this point. Since there already was a deck in place that encroached, are they grandfathered in if they're just redoing the deck that was currently existing?
Do you want to take that?
The answer is as soon as they start to redevelop the site, it needs to conform with our current policies. So that's where the measurements come into place. And we truly do appreciate the unique qualities of the house. And so by no stretch of the imagination are we saying that there shouldn't be access from that second story, because obviously that is a safety concern. We're talking about the number of feet that that deck would be provided. So I just wanted to clarify.
No, I get that, but I mean, what's allowable then from the house, from that standpoint? I mean, how many feet would they have on the deck to be compliant?
10, it looks like, right? Is that correct?
Approximately 10, yes.
Looking at the engineering drawings on page
In the proposal.
2 of the engineering drawings, it looks like it's 9 feet to the edge of the stairs, and then the stairs are the additional 5 feet in question. So I think, and it looks like where the bold line is, so it looks like it's actually 9 feet to where that stair setback is, which is matching up with the 25-foot setback.
And I'm going to apologize for not understanding, so please bear with me. So my question is kind of where Jason's was. So let's assume this deck is rotting, and they say, I want to replace it. They now have to comply with the new standard, even though it's not a new deck. Is that right? I mean, it's being repaired, but it's a new structure as far as the city is concerned. Is that correct? Okay.
And that can encapsulate a lot of scenarios. Things can get built without permits. Things can get, I mean, quite honestly, they can get built without proper approvals, even if that means some element of error on our part. So as soon as they start to reconfigure, redesign the site, it does comply with, and the reason for that, I should, just for edification for the board, the reason for that is zoning codes can change. So what was in place 10 years ago may have changed. And so the idea is that we would incorporate the new regulations and start to implement them.
Okay.
And just real quick, just while I have your attention, I did look up the site that you were kind enough to provide. It's a bit deceiving because of the landscaping that's around the deck that makes it look like the rear of the property. I looked it up in our GIS system, and there's actually a 40-foot separation from that deck to their back property line. It just looks like they used the landscaping to screen. And the 40 feet is like a midpoint, but that's a general idea of what the separation is for the property.
I mean, I gotta be honest with you. I'm just trying to think of this conceptually. So, and I'm gonna harp on this same point I think that we're talking about here. Assuming that the deck they have in place is rotting and they need to replace the boards, you're saying they have to redo the entire foundation of the deck, even though the top boards are gonna have to be replaced, and they would have to somehow redo that design?
So there is a level of repair that zoning code does allow for. When it comes to a complete disrepair and replacement of a deck, that is when it triggers full compliance with code.
So like some things are like if it's only at 20%, there's like usually a percentage, right? And once it reaches that, it's like this, we're past repair, we're now into replace. Is that fair?
Correct.
What you're proposing is gonna be, what are you gonna put, composite like TimberTech? Is that what it's gonna be?
Do you have any idea why the prior homeowner or the builder didn't, I mean, I have to acknowledge, and I think everyone here would acknowledge, it's very bizarre to have a door that just walks out of a room into the air, right? So I don't think that anybody, that's not the thing that I think we're struggling with. It's jiving that with what our criteria are. Do you have any idea why they didn't do that when they did the other one?
I don't. And what's particularly odd is that when we looked at many of the houses in Amberley that had the walkouts, that the living room where the doors are typically a window. And so choosing the doors was an upgrade. I mean, they chose that, but chose to build nothing.
And the window makes sense to me. I'll give you that. The door does
I mean,
not.
our primary concern is if we have 10 feet to work with and a 5-foot staircase, you have 5 feet of deck there right before getting to the staircase. And to us, in our mind, that prevents a safety issue. We couldn't put something there like furniture, for instance, as a blocker for someone to sort of, I don't know, protect the kids from going down.
And if you were to
versus-
put a rail up there, it would take even more, so now you're talking 3 or 4 feet.
Yeah, and so while I know it goes beyond, it's meaningful to us to go 2.5 feet beyond what currently exists, given what we're working with. And trust me, we have run through every possible design to try to come up with what is safe and will work within this space. So, I mean,
Could the stairs go on the, can you pull up the picture?
That's what I was going to ask. The south
I think we have
side,
it up, right? No, so,
downwards.
yeah, you have it, right? So I don't, so looking at here, if we're looking at the little seating area you have there to the left, am I stating that correctly?
The bottom left corner.
Yeah, yes, right there. Could you have the stairs come off the side there on the right where it would come out and then down?
I think from what my contractor has told me, yes, but not with 10 feet because of the incline when you only have 10 feet to work with.
There's a rise run that you have to keep to make sure.
Well,
it's a
no,
certain
you could
width.
have platforms.
Right. So
But you're saying like kind of.
yeah, I'm
Tiered.
imagining it starts going downhill and then curves 90 degrees and then goes down the rest of the way. out
Correct.
to that limit.
I see what you're saying.
And that, based on the drawings, you're wanting to extend the deck past the current line all the way out to the edge of the house. Is that correct?
All the way out to the edge of the patio.
The existing patio?
Right.
Yes.
Okay, so only like a foot beyond the second part of the door, the bay door.
Well, but isn't the green?
Oh,
what the
you're talking
proposed-
about that way?
Yeah, so
I think the green's the proposed patio there.
right, but right now
Or the proposed deck,
the
sorry.
the dark black line on the left-hand side is the edge of the house, correct?
That's correct.
So
yes.
your current patio extends, it looks like 4 feet or so short of that line from the edge of the house. So you would be adding an additional like 4 feet to the bottom patio as well.
I don't know the answer. to
Zach,
that.
could you pull up the images of the house again?
You can pull up the plans.
Yeah, that rear elevation, if you look at it, you can see the patio doesn't go all the way out to the edge of the house, and the plans look like they are going all the way to the edge of the house. So my proposal would be you put the staircase in that location, having it turn like near the start of the doors, go down 2 or 3 feet, and then turn 90 degrees, and then go down the rest of the way. And so that way you don't lose any of the usable space on the vast majority of the area. It would only be in that like 2 foot drop down with like 2 steps down to the corner. And then the rest of the space would fit. Because right now your proposed staircase is 5 feet by 11 feet. 11 feet is beyond the edge of the patio, and I appreciate that fact. Like if you were coming straight out from the house, you would have to drop down 11 feet. But you would also have to account for the turn because you're not going to come straight out of the house. But if you did account for that turn and had it drop down a little bit further, I think there would be sufficient space in order to accommodate a larger porch while still fitting in the regulations.
It's similar to the stairs that are on the other deck that's there right now. If you look on the right, if it came halfway down and then turned coming out towards the back away from the house, it could be in the same location as those stairs, but on the other side of the house. Is that what you're thinking as well? If you look at the picture on the left, you see where the stairs are coming out off the house. If they came down halfway and then turned coming out towards the backyard, they could mirror that over here and still fit it in.
Yeah.
Did you have discussions with your contractor about having the stairs to the left?
We did, but not within, what they advised was that it would not be advisable within the 10 feet, that it could be done with additional space.
See, what I'm thinking is that you have a separate landing off of the deck. So you create, whether it's an initial step down or, you're going to have maybe a 3x3 or whatever the normal spacing is from a landing perspective. I don't even know, whatever, there's like that circle thing. I don't even know. Can we go to the drawing picture again, Zach? Yeah. Do you see where that circle is there to the left? It looks,
Inside the box.
yeah. I don't know what that's supposed to be.
It's a little bit higher than that, Zach, to the right there.
Yeah. So what I'm thinking is you could have a the landing there. So you're having your staircase landing, and then you could have it come back down onto the patio. It was just going to be on the left side of the.
You could do a 90-degree cut or 180 and just have it come zig right back.
Well, yeah, or you can have it straight down, or you could have it cut back down in.
Yeah, I trust that you've discussed this a fair amount with your contractor. And I'm not questioning that. It's mainly I feel like there would be a way to accommodate a deck. Another option that we haven't discussed right now is that your house does have that diagonal cutback on the other side. And if you were to extend the deck further that way and do the same stairs on that side of the deck, you would be providing yourself with a fair amount of space on that entire area. Granted, you're talking about a lot more deck space because you have to expand past the spot that you have it currently. But if you go past the diagonal, then all of a sudden you gain yourself like 3 or 4 feet of depth.
I'm kind of with Jason. If you put it, you walk out your door, you go all the way from the facing we are now to the left where that circle is. That circle's a landing, and then the stairs come straight down. You'd be able to put the stairs completely off of it and not
Right.
have to.
You could have them all the way down, or you could have it even cut back onto the patio with a
Underneath
separate landing.
it, so the
Right.
bottom, the landing's covered.
Right. Are you putting a drainage system under the deck, like to capture water?
I don't know.
Because you have it mentions deck drain system on the one thing I'm looking at. I don't know if that's going to be.
Top part of it says it, yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, from that perspective, it'd be a lot easier to do the stairs separately from the drainage, especially if you're going to be placing any kind of underneath guttering system.
Zach, are you following kind of what we're thinking? And is that something that you think they would have room to do on the side just from the measurements? I know you're not there right now, but.
Right. No, I think these are all great comments to discuss. I don't want to take the place of their contractor. I think their contractor would know best as to whether this is something that's possible or not.
Well, I meant more, is there enough room to do it? Sorry, I probably asked that poorly. Is there enough space for that to happen?
So side yard setback, I believe, is 8 feet. So based on where the home is located, they would have some space to that south side. Obviously, you have more to the north. But I can try to figure out really quick how much space is to the south.
Did you check with your HOA? Is there like an application process or anything?
There is.
And what was the feedback from that?
We have not even done that yet because we wanted to get through this to see what we're working with before we submit anything to the HOA.
Okay.
My sense is that the neighborhood would be very happy if we did something.
Well, something
with what
needs
is-
to happen. I mean, I'm not.
I don't think there's a single person here that doesn't believe that something needs to happen. I think that the hard part for me is, I'll just tell you, we have to apply these specific criteria. So if you said to me, does it make sense? Do you want to have something there? I think the answer is of course. The special condition, is it unique to your property? You've already told us that there's other houses that have this same feature. You even provided a picture of another house. So I almost wonder if, I don't know, I'm on the fence. One of the options, just to put this out there, that you have is to withdraw this. Because if you decide, if it goes forward and it gets denied, you have to wait a year. Am I correct in that time? If you want to withdraw it or table it and go to your contractor and say, maybe even have them come back with you and say, here's the reason you can or cannot do the proposals that are there. I just worry that right now, it's not a clear answer to me that we meet the 3 required criteria.
Based on the feedback I'm getting, I think tabling makes sense. I would like to go back and talk to our contractor about some of the ideas that you've discussed. And so I will do that.
I would advise you to also, you mentioned the one neighbor on Somerset. There are actually 5 houses in a row on Somerset, on that same stretch that you shared the original image, that all have some variation of a patio with a staircase down to another level. And there's 2 of them in a row that are just a straight down. There's one that has halfway down and then like a secondary landing and then another halfway down. There's one that has like a 45-degree turn in the staircase and it's almost like a spiral staircase. And then another that is like a traditional, I don't know, apartment style staircase where it goes down and then there's a landing and then it goes down the other. So yeah, if you could maybe talk with those neighbors as well and see how they kind of figured out their staircase approach, because I agree it would be relatively skinny to have the staircase encroaching on the 9 feet that you're given, because then you would only have 4 feet, which is very skinny. But if there's some other way that you can figure out how to make this staircase less obtrusive while still following the setback rules, then that would probably be ideal.
If the applicant wishes to withdraw it and table at this time, is that something they're able to do while they're here? I know we've done that before.
Certainly. So if there's any other feedback that you would like to receive at this time before you table, I would recommend asking those questions now. Otherwise, whenever you've heard enough, we'd be able to table, and then Jason, we would need a motion for that.
Okay.
I don't have any other questions, no.
Okay. I mean, what I'll say is, unfortunately, I think we understand the safety perspective and agree that something needs to be done. I mean, it's just interesting the way that, the original owner didn't put anything there, but we're not telling you you can't do anything to alleviate that safety concern. It's just from, where the setback is and the yard being smaller in the backyard, you're limited with your space, unfortunately, based on the text of the Amberley HOA. So those documents, which actually cite to the Dublin setback. So if you're comfortable tabling it, we can move, and perhaps you can have additional discussion with your contractor or bring him again. Perhaps you may not even need a variance if you're able to come to some agreement with the city. So
I would so move to table this time.
we have a second.
Second.
Roll, please. Yes.
Mr. Deschler?
Yes.
Mr. Nye?
Yes.
Mr. Clower?
Yes.
Okay, good. Thank you very much. Any communications?
Yes, we do have, I believe, 2 items. One will be on your screen in just a moment. So this is kind of a legacy item based on previous variances that we have had in certain neighborhoods. And moving forward, there was a lot of direction regarding what is the city going to be able to do moving forward to address, hopefully that we don't see as many in these newer developments, as many variance requests in the newer developments. So something I just want to share with you all is on your screen. So this is a development called Ayrshire Farms. It is located at the intersection of Shire Rings Road and Cosgray. So they were previously approved on Tuesday for their final development plan. This is one of the sheets that they submitted, and this was actually direction from City Council back in February or March when they originally submitted. But one of the items that was requested of them was to provide a sheet that showed this is the typical footprint that would fit on each of these lots, and then to provide how much space to the rear of the home there is. And this is a document that is written into their development text as well, that the developer is required to provide how much space to the rear of the home is developable.
This is absolutely beautiful, Zach.
Yeah, this is, I mean, couldn't ask for more. I mean, this is great for the city, for the homeowners, for everybody. This is a huge win.
And just wait for it, there's more.
Oh, there's more? Yeah. Oh, this is great.
Yeah, so additionally, you'll see at the center of the screen, they're the smaller lots, 23 through 30. The developer has also written into their development text that they will be constructing those patios with the development of those homes. So making sure that those patios will be compliant. This also doesn't show the 5-foot additional that's allowed for at-grade patios. But it is written into the development text that the developer is required to provide this information. So at the time of purchase for that homeowner, they will be knowledgeable of what they have to the rear of their home. So this is the kind of first step that we've been able to take. We were really excited to be able to move forward with this and have the developer on board. So hopefully this is kind of a stepping stone for future developments so that this is something that's consistently applied. We're not going to have, this is a smaller development where a lot of the homes are programmed for these lots. So it's not going to be apples to apples every time, but at least with this development, we were pleased to be able to provide this, and it was accepted very well. So we just wanted to share that.
I can just see Lot 2 coming to us in 5 years saying, hey, we didn't know, we've got this giant space in our backyard that we can't do anything with, so.
Well, great job by you guys too to kind of promote that and be proactive. This is huge, I think. What a win for the community. That's awesome.
Yeah, and now we have to get it just on used homes.
Yeah. Can you go back and retroactively do it in every neighborhood in the entire city?
If you know how to do it, let us know. We're still trying to figure that out.
I mean, the point we'd like to make, I mean, in all seriousness, is we feel like the board has, and you're typically in a awkward position, right? And there's a lot of homeowners for a myriad of reasons that come to the board and are in a difficult position. But the struggle that we have is some of these issues that they're bringing to you, although very appropriate to be addressed, they're more appropriate for staff to start to say, what can we do differently? What education efforts can we do? So we feel like the burden has been placed on the board, whereas it should be placed on staff. The place of the board is to merely look at an application and say, does it meet review criteria? So we're really, truly trying to take that burden off of your shoulders and place it back on ours. We've had probably, I would say, perhaps a year of difficult cases, and they're difficult for us. I mean, we're dealing with property owners that we really hopefully want to help. I hope, and I think they're in a position for, again, a myriad of reasons, and we can't combat all of them, but we can start to tackle them one by one. So we just wanted to give you the reassurances that we are really, truly trying to do this. And again, place the appropriate burden on the board of the review criteria, so. And this is kudos to Zach, by the way. This is his case. He worked with the applicants, he worked with city council, and this was a directive of city council that they do not want property owners to be put in this position. So we're trying to do what we can to handle that.
Well, great job, Zach.
Other than that, I think there is one item. You all should have been provided with meeting dates for 2022, 2023. We would like to be able to move on those tonight. So if you've been able to review them and make sure there are no conflicts, you should be able to motion.
The only question that I have about this, and I don't want to mess with your plans, since we don't have two board members here, is there any way we can wait? I know that with my schedule before, when I joined, that there were ones that I had a lot of conflicts with, and I would feel more comfortable if it doesn't mess with your schedule too much to wait until everybody's here, if that's okay. Do you have a problem with it, Jason? Not stepping your toes?
No, I'm good. I'm good with that aspect. I mean, sometimes things come up that you don't necessarily are prepared for, so.
Which email was that? I don't remember seeing that.
It's on the OneDrive.
Oh, okay.
And we're already approved for January and February,
Right.
so we have time. So if we do it next month, that should be no issue.
Real quick, October 27,
We ran that last time,
what day of the week is that?
They're always Thursdays.
Right.
It just depends on which
But
Thursday.
that's Beggar's Night.
Usually,
Yeah, that's Halloween.
Usually we
MOPAC, it always does, it's the,
Usually you move it up,
try to prevent.
right? So it should be the 20th instead of the 27th. Like this year was the 21st instead of the 28th.
What is our version? I'm struggling. What's our version of trick or treat?
Beggar's Night,
Beggar's Night, and it's the Thursday before Halloween.
yes.
I think Dublin follows the Mid-Ohio Planning Commission where they have it, it's always the.
It's always the Thursday before.
Yeah.
But like this year, that meeting was October 21 instead of the 28th.
I think it's because we addressed this at that time, because I think it fell on it last time.
That's the only one I always look at because I know. Okay.
Yeah, we'll take a look at that, and if there's a conflict, we will address that.
Where is this in the OneDrive?
It is,
I might not have been added to it.
yeah, it's where the other stuff was. He posted it. The one.
Oh, I see it. I see it. Okay. My mistake.
Anything else?
I don't believe so. Tammy?
Well, I just thought it would be appropriate going into the holiday season. I feel like we don't say this enough, but we do recognize that you guys are volunteering your time. Again, these are awkward conversations to have, but we appreciate your willingness to work with applicants. I've worked with the board since I've came to Dublin, and I've always said that this board has always been approachable and welcoming to applicants, and on the same side, true to your obligations with the board. So I just want to say thank you. If we don't say that enough, we probably will do a better job. So thank you for your service. We hope you have wonderful holidays. We most likely will have a meeting in December, so we'll see you before the end of the year.
Okay. Thanks, Tammy. Well, if there are no further questions or comments, the next meeting, as just stated, is for December 16, 2021, if an application is submitted. So we'll see then. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Did you have Pam on you?